This is Lulu with Santa Barbara Teen Press, here with
Dan Malloy.
and
Zach.
So Dan, when did you first start surfing?
I started surfing when I was about 3 or 4 years old. We would go to the beach anytime we got a chance. We grew up in Ojai, so it was hot up there. And we'd go down to the beach, and my whole family just enjoyed the beach, and surfing was just something that happened, because when you're down there, it's just going to happen, basically.
Yeah. Have you faced any major challenges in your life? And if so, how have they shaped you?
Well, I'd say, major challenges. I think everybody goes through major challenges, no matter what. For me, major challenges in my family was, I think, when my little sister was born. I was about 4 years old, and she was born with cerebral palsy, and she is blind and deaf. And so that was a big challenge for my family. But I think in the end, it really brought us together, and kind of really was the glue that held our family together. So I'd say that was the most major challenge that our family's gone through, and I think that it in the end, I think challenges and it really help you to relate with other people, because everybody's going through something, and everybody experiences hard times.
Thank you.
Who is your surfing in life icon?
Well, when I was young, it was guys like Tom Kern, Kelly Slater, and I really still look up to those guys a lot. But I would say for surfing, my new icon is Rel Sun, this amazing woman that was from Hawaii. She was just the most amazing she embodied surfing and community activism, and she was just an amazing person that I really look up to. Outside of surfing, I think that there's a lot of people, but my family has been a huge inspiration to me. I like this. There's an author named Wendell Berry who's my favorite author, and he's taught me a lot about farming and the whole idea about how important farming and small farms are to our community and our culture. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Why did you sometimes give up competing and dropping major sponsors in order to spend more time at home working with the local company Patagonia?
I think over time I just realized that competition surfing wasn't the route best for me. It wasn't the structure of competition surfing wasn't perfectly suited for me, and getting to do it though was what helped me realize that. So I'm really fortunate and feel really grateful for the opportunity to get to go compete on the road. And then I also realized with the major sponsors that I had, the people that I was working for, it wasn't a real like-minded group of people. In Patagonia, I saw an opportunity to be around people that have similar vision and similar goals that I do. People who had been working at those goals that I was aspiring to for a long time. I felt like I had a lot to learn from the people at Patagonia.
What was the hardest part of your slowest fast journey?
The hardest part, it was really, for the most part, I thought the trip was just fun and easy. We worked really hard on the farms. We worked really hard with the people, and I think that enabled us to understand who the people were and enable us to tell their story better, is when you're not just viewing it from the other side of a camera, but you're spending time. We would work for 2 or 3 days before we would even pull out a camera a lot of times. So
Like interacting with them?
Yeah, because that was what our main goal was to be there and learn, and our secondary goal was to document some of the things that happened. So that we worked really hard, but I wouldn't consider it a hard part of the trip. I guess the hardest part of the trip was when one of my friends, we ate, most of the time we were eating really good food from farms, but at one point we ate at this really kind of funky diner, kind of a biker bar, and my friend got really bad food poisoning. So for 5 days he was really sick when we were on the road, and that was a hard part of the trip.
In your book, you said something about grandfather stones. We were wondering what they were.
Well, what that was when we were staying at this one farm, the guys that we were staying at, I'm not sure if you guys have ever been in a sweat lodge or know what a sweat lodge is, but it's a Native American, and it's actually practiced all over the world as far as I know. It's basically like a native style like sauna, where they make this tent and then they put really hot stones in the middle and they pour water on top of them, and you sit there, and it's a place to like pray, and it's a place to talk about what's happening in the community, and it's a really, really powerful place to meet. And so they, the guys that we were with, called them grandfather stones when they would bring them in, and we were just, a big goal of the book was just to say thanks to the people that we stayed with. So sometimes there was a little inside joke here and there, and that's what that one was.
We actually have a Kiva down there where we kind of all come together and, like you were saying, kind of work together for that.
Yeah, it was really fun and powerful experience for sure, and it was a great part of the trip.
You talk about learning the difference between farm speed and garden speed. What do you mean by that?
So this is on the same farm as where the sweat lodge was. The first day we got there, we said, hey, we really want to help. And the farmer said, okay, well, if you're going to help, then I need to teach you, like, we have to work fast here. We need to plant a lot in a day for it to, monetarily, they need to get a certain amount of work done a day. And so he said, okay, I'm going to show you, most people come here and they want to do work at garden speed, which is, if you're going to plant a tomato, you dig the hole and you get everything prepared, and then you plant the start, and it takes you about 30 seconds to a minute to plant each plant. And he showed us that all you do when you're planting on a farm is you literally dig a little miniature hole with one hand and throw the other one in, and then go to the next one, and it takes you about 3 to 8 seconds to plant each plant. So he said, this is garden speed, it takes you a minute. This is farm speed, you got to get those things in the ground fast. And so it was kind of fun to see, because our whole goal of the trip was slow is fast, but there's always a time and a place to where you have to get the job done fast. And so that was the difference. Farm speeds, you got to work hard and efficient and fast to be able to get food on people's plates.
Some people learn to bike with training wheels, others learn with scooters. How do you think people should learn how to surf?
I always think that a good way to learn how to surf is to just first start swimming in the ocean and spend time right next to the waves in the shore break. And then I also think the next step from that is boogie boarding is a really great transition. And I really think that surfing, standing up on a surfboard, is in a lot of ways almost overrated. Like I love it and I stand up on my surfboard a lot, but I think that you should almost lay down on a board until it becomes boring, because laying down on a board or body surfing on a wave, that's surfing too. And I think that people get they get the idea that it's only surfing if you stand up, and when you stand up they're like worried about their style and all that stuff. And I think that surfing really happens when you just start interacting with waves. And so the biggest key in learning how to surf is enjoying it. So whatever it takes to enjoy the ocean. I think that you learn the most if you start out playing in the shore break and body surfing, and then I think to boogie board or body board for as long as you want is also a good way to learn, because I don't know about you guys, but I think the hardest part about surfing is reading waves and knowing which waves to go on, and you learn all that stuff when you're body surfing and bodyboarding.
Yeah.
How do you think your bike trip would have been different if Kanoa or Kellen had been a girl?
I don't know. Each individual is different, so it would have been a very different trip if there was a girl in place of one of my friends, but I think they would have been different just because of the individual factor. As far as the change of the trip, I don't think it would have changed all that much. I can't think of any difference that it would have made, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Okay.
No, it's good. It's a good question to think about. I think it would have just been different. Any swap out of characters on the trip would have made the trip different, and so it would have been different if there was a girl. But I don't know if it would have changed the dynamic, of how we met people and all that stuff. I don't know if it would have changed things too much,
Yeah. We always hear about the Malloy brothers, and most of the interviews about you are with guys. How is it different surfing with girls?
I think having girls in the water and surfing with girls is one of the best things that has happened to surfing, because when we grew up there weren't that many girls surfing. There really weren't. If there was a girl surfing, it was like, oh, there, it was very, oh, there's a girl surfing. Now it's like there's girls everywhere, and I think it is really, really helpful, and it really balances out the lineup, and it really, when I surf now, a lot of times, when we were kids, it was kind of intense. There was just all these guys out in the water, and it was almost like a very confrontational place.
Yeah.
And now it seems much less confrontational, and I think that's partially because of more girls being in the water. So I really appreciate having girls out in the water, and to me, it makes the whole dynamic of surfing more easygoing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Our school's theme is based on a poem by Whitman. Our theme is the power of story. What is your verse? What do you hope your verse is the story of the ocean?
Can you read just the end of that question again?
Yeah. What do you hope your verse is in the story of the ocean?
Well, my verse, I feel like when I was younger, my verse was how I interacted with the ocean. Now, I'm really interested in, I think that your verse doesn't always have to be just specifically your story. What I'm interested in now is telling and finding other people's stories. So I feel like a big part of my story is that I've got, through the ocean and through my experiences surfing, I've been enabled to meet all these really amazing people, and because of that, I want to be able to tell their stories and learn about their stories. So I think a big part of what my verse is continuing and carrying on the stories of other people.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.